Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. Um, Welcome to Shadowdark Junkers. I am super excited for this. I've been playing around with the concept now ever since I came across the Shadowdark Quick Start rules, um, and I finally get to do it. I managed to persuade these very fine players to join me for tonight's shenanigans. So, without further ado, let us first and foremost introduce them. We'll start off upon my right, I suppose, and that is everybody's changed. Everybody's changed. So, whilst I change that around, Malcolm, please introduce yourself, and I shall stick you. I shall stick you in your right place. I love technology. Malcolm, please go first.
Good evening, all. And yes, very interested in taking this adaptation of the Shadowdark rules from the Arcane library and making something of a space Hulk crawler, a opening scene of the film Aliens. The idea that scavenging is the best way to make a profit in space, or at least the only one this motley crew have managed to latch onto. Survivability might be a challenge,
Yeah,
but look forward to it.
it's certainly one of these game systems I came across that seems to be perfect to represent this kind of feel and look. Um, I've run quite a lot of these kind of semi-space horror games before using various systems, and this one just feels to be the sort of perfect fit. So now that I've got all of your beautiful faces in the right places, thank you very much for that, Malcolm. We'll go down and Kyle, please introduce yourselves.
Good evening, all. My name's Kyle. I've been role playing for around 5 years, and well, I've been intrigued by this game's sort of idea since Andy's first brought it up. It seems to fit Shadowdark extremely well, and I'm hoping we're not going to die too quickly.
Yes, I mean, I get a real buzz when I run, for instance, 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons at first level. It's the most anxious I get when I run it because the chance of death is incredibly high, a random crit. And I've got that anxiety again tonight. Every time I play Shadowdark, it seems I actually quite like that anxiety. It seems that I feed off it. I believe that my style of play as a game master is like the greatest fan of the characters and the players. So I don't actually want you to die, but the rule system might determine different, and I find that challenge great fun. So we'll move across to you, Ian.
Yeah, my name's Ian, and I think I've signed up for the wrong thing because I was here for Red Dwarf,
Well,
but no, I'm joking. I've role played enough with Andy now in his Cthulhu games to know exactly what I've signed up for, and I'm looking for some cosmic horror in the cosmos.
yeah, but we all are aware. I mean, let's face it. This could be another Aliens. It could be another Event Horizon, or exactly as you said, it could turn into a Red Dwarf show. I mean, that's the fun of what we do. Is that it's not scripted. Literally, in the next 2.5, 3 hours, anything could happen, and I think that's what makes it quite fresh and exciting for me as a GM, and hopefully for you as players and everybody else who is watching as well. Last but not least, then, Matt, please introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Matt, sometime player, occasional writer, working with Andy on a number of different bits and pieces. I'm very excited to dive into Shadowdark and explore what the versatility of the system by giving it a completely different sort of vibe and a nice sci-fi. Weird. It's going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Nothing's going to go wrong. There's just going to be some nice stuff in boxes, and we'll go home and it'll be good.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we've nattered on, we've changed the layout after me setting it up, and I thought I got it perfectly right. But hey, it's live. and we are not a professional outfit, and neither is the crew of the Junkers that we're going to meet tonight, although perhaps they might think that they are. So, space, final frontier, the outer rim. No one can hear you scream in space. We've heard all of the phrases, but will they be proven right or wrong? We do know that space is a cold vacuum, though, and this small tin can of a ship sort of begins to slow its approach. If you can for one moment imagine the darkness of the void, this ship isn't lit up. It moves quietly like a small minnow in the vast ocean, only to be dwarfed by its destination, a huge, strangely shaped vessel, a husk, an alien ship, so abstract, so strange that, well, it is beyond almost comprehension, misshapen, not sleek, not nice lines, not with lights, a bulbous thing, strange, twisted. Even the design, the manufacture, the construction of it, well, there are literally no words to describe it. Your vessel, a very small tin can as I described it, we'll come on to its name in a minute, and begins to slow down and form a sort of mini orbit to it. And as it does, we pan inside to your ship. Small, cramped pipes and conduits, wires, all held together with gaffer tape, things spewing out of it, bits of gas, bits of fluid, metal, industrial, dirty, grease. We move through the ship. It doesn't take us long. It is very small, and we come to the chamber known as the Sloth. This is where you sleep the sleep. It is often known as the stupor, the strange sense of being awake but being asleep at the same time, senseless and mindless, death trance. These sloth chambers, these sloth cubes begin to activate. The heartbeat of the ship as they all begin to open up. We'll start off with you, Sprocket. The camera pans round. What does it see?
The womb-like sack empties this deposit of a dwarf on the floor. Quite pale and weak-looking, he pushes himself up off the ground, brushes himself off, and makes his way over to the caffeine regulator and starts to get himself the biggest amount of Joe he possibly can as he waits for the rest of the crew to come round. He's considering making sure the goblin doesn't come out of sleep because, God, he doesn't know if he wants to eat that mush again, but it's got to be better than anything else. And he sits down and waits and surveys the rest.
And I mean, let's talk about the caffeine. I mean, yeah, let's face it, it's not real coffee, not real Joe. In fact, it is called Joe, but it's synth caff. It's got a foul aftertaste, and, well, let's face it, the water that you're drinking, it's been through all of you several thousand times, recycled and recycled again, and you just can't shake that notion. But it gives you the boost that you need, and productivity is important here. Having a sharp mind can literally be the difference between life and death. The camera pans from you trying to drink this black sludge, and let us see what the camera finds when it finds you, Amos.
Amos falls similarly to the floor deposited by the chamber, fighting really hard against the remnants of its effect. You see a fellow dwarf, but this one stockier, hardier, starts stretching and flexing. It's almost like a bodybuilder going through a morning routine. Nods in the direction of his companion, and then heads to the locker racks, make sure his equipment's ready, and is very deliberate in his motions and actions, not really waiting to see what else happens.
Amos, it's a big one, Amos. Look at the size of it.
All the corridors are the same small size when we're trapped in them. Let's take it one door at a time.
It's a big one. Look, might be the biggest we've seen so far.
Yeah, big one.
It's huge. I mean, beyond huge. This is the size of a small moon. You've never seen anything like this before. The camera pans round. You can hear this, Evrock. You can hear the conversations about the size of it, and you arise from your sloth cube. What does the camera see with you?
Uvrock is a male elf. His face is covered with burns and scratches from tinkering and possibly surgeries. But she stands up proudly, rushing over to, well, the window-esque thing and says, "Of course we got here, and of course it's big. I piloted it here. I plotted this course. Did you expect anything less from me?"
Take some Simcaf. You've come out again.
And finally, the camera pans across all of this to Ix. What does the camera see with you?
Ix drops to the floor. A bundle of greenskin and a much slighter figure than everybody else, his other three companions, and just kind of gives himself a shake and a hacking cough, and then stands up to his very diminutive height and kind of stretches, and every single joint in his body seems to crack, and then he stomps over towards the synthcath machine and grabs a cup and waits his turn to pour the life-giving energy juice into his body.
Okay. But there's one other, your final crewmate, that seems to be not getting out of their cube. Who's going to go and stir them? This is Bishop, Dave Bishop. He's not normally this lethargic.
Suppose I will head over and see why he's not getting up.
The cube hasn't actually opened yet. You can try and override it, or you can use sort of manual override, just crank it open if you want. These things are a little junky, a little glitchy.
I'll try and override it without reverting to the manual one if I can.
Yeah.
Might
So
not work again if I do.
you hit a few buttons and it kind of hisses, and it swings open. It is a terrible scene in front of you as you look. Oh, Dave is dead. He's dead. Been dead a long time. The cube wasn't set up properly.
Looks like it's just us. Who set the cubes up last time? Whoever it was, don't do it again. Close the pod again.
I mean, it does bring to mind that sort of this is dangerous, even travelling. I mean, never tell me the odds, but they reckon that 15 to 20% of the time these cubes malfunction one way or another. You're all lucky to be here.
I would head over as it's closing, having gathered that something went wrong, and
Yeah.
just see if I can glean anything from. Is it just a straight malfunction? Is there foul play?
You kind of look at it. I mean, it's the equipment. You just can't get the right equipment. Doesn't look like it's been tampered at all. There's no need for any rolls at the moment.
That's cool.
Yeah, this is just a sad accident.
None. Well,
Not the
Full
greatest
stretch
start
further.
to the day.
no.
Your medic. Go on.
Okay. He's dead.
I never went to medical school, and I've guessed that.
Oh,
Then again,
machine.
neither did you. Did you?
You couldn't pronounce the school I went to. Old machines, they break. It's what happens, I'm afraid. Not much to be done. But Bishop would want us to continue, I'm sure.
The absolute
Boy.
mercenary Amos is 4-way split, not 5-way split.
What did he bring with him?
Oh, not for going through his personal belongings. That seems crass, but our reward just got 20% better.
Sorry, I thought we went onto huge derelict dead ships and robbed them.
Yes. Not each other.
It's
He's
salvage.
dead.
Not
It's
robbing.
auto salvage. It's all e-salvage now. Let's face this. Right?
Dave's got some basic equipment. He was never one to spend a huge amount of creds upon gear. So there's a few additional resources. I mean, I don't know whether you count yourself lucky, manpower or gear, but you don't have much choice in the matter now. Manpower is no more. But there is an alert, the light which is already dim in your tin can. Does your ship have a name? You don't have to tell me now, you can discuss it later, but I'll be quite interested to know what the name of your ship is at some point. Well, the lights dim down and there's a proximity warning. It seems that not only is there this husk, but your sensors have detected another ship, a terrestrial one, in the vicinity.
Yeah, Sprocket kind of stomps over with his mug of Simcaf still in his hand, settles it on one of the meters. All right, we've got somebody else with us. How big's the ship, Andy? About the same size as ours or bigger?
It's bigger, and you tap a few buttons. It's fairly straightforward. The text, sort of green computer print, scuttles, and it kind of makes the sound that old typewriters make as the icons come across, and you look at the data that you're being sent, and you determine that, it is a known ship to you. There are junkers, and junkers can band together as brothers and sisters in salvage, but there's also rivalries as well. And this ship that is known as the Slaughterhouse, well, it's bad news. A junker crew who are known employees of the Butchers Guild. These are heavy mercenaries that are heavy-handed, especially about other people, other junkers, putting claims on stuff they believe is theirs. What is odd, though, as the text finalises and you look at this, is their ship is cold. It's in orbit of this husk, but the engines haven't been run in quite a while. There are no lights upon it. It's got no power, no life support. For a ship to be in this state, it must have been here at least a few days, if not a week.
What do you know? Hirok,
Do we risk approaching it?
were you told, Hirok? Were we told anybody else was coming for this? You're the captain.
I was not aware of it. Scans indicate it's not been active for a few days, not even life support's running. Maybe we could get a bit of unofficial payback, see what's in the ship before they get back.
Yeah, we don't want to mess with them beefy boys. You know what they're like. Look at the size of it compared to ours. If they've gone on the ship, if we'd been here first, we could have claimed dibs.
Don't think they'd accept that. I think if we see them on the ship, then we'd be best running. But it is a huge ship. Chances are fairly low that we're going to encounter them, though rather odd that they've not been back to the ship in days.
I mean, you would all know that the fact that even if they don't have an AI running the engines, you don't turn your engines off, not in deep space. You don't deactivate your life support. There's something very wrong about this.
So, do we do the gig? Do we go and investigate that thing?
I'm thinking we don't want to be on the wrong side of the beefy boys, is what I'm thinking.
Don't.
We find a portion of the Hulk away from there, and
I
we
like
see
this
if we
plan.
get lucky. We get in, get out, undetected and unsuspected, if we can.
Think about this logically for a second, guys. All right. We've been trying to crack it big. We've been trying to get our pay up. If the butchers were to see us as doing them a favour, that might help us. If something's happened to them, and we can help them, then they're in our debt.
It's an option.
Yes, I would also say that was bigger than us. There was probably more of them than us. And I might be jumping to conclusions, but I don't know if they're coming back.
Better ship than ours as well, isn't it?
Yes, but also whatever's in there, pointing at the big Hulk, might be even worse news than normal.
There might not be anything in there. It may just have been caught up with a
Then they
breached
went on a
hallway.
picnic. What did they do?
Well,
I'm going
it's
to
a
pick
derelict
based on your
weapon.
food.
Falling ceiling. These wrecks are never in good condition. It's not necessarily anything in there. Just
It's
walking
true,
through.
but Junker's code says what you find in there you get to keep. Right?
Okay.
So if something has happened to them, and we find the way to get their ship's ours. Junker's code.
As long as the Butchers Guild aren't going to take offence to us using their ship.
Well, we return it if they ask.
Probably return it. That's where the value might be in
Yeah.
that.
Think of the contracts. We've been scraping for months.
Would be nice not to have to drink Sync's coffee for a while if we could earn a bit of coin and get back.
It'd be nice if not one of our life support systems to fail on a jump as well, wouldn't it?
Well, that would be a novelty. Okay, well,
Get in, get the keys, get out.
I mean, what's the worst that could happen, eh?
Oh dear. Okay, so I guess I'm pulling it round to look for a spot that we can enter in.
So this is, you wish to approach the slaughterhouse
Are we going for the slaughterhouse or the ship?
the husk. Which ship are you going towards?
I think it sounds like we're going to the husk.
The husk. Okay.
Yeah, I
The
think we're
slaughterhouse.
doing the
So the
husk
slaughterhouse.
first.
Yeah. I
Okay.
was going to say, has the slaughterhouse docked with the husk? Is there a way to get from the husk to the slaughterhouse that we can see?
No,
No.
it's in orbit just like you are at the moment. So scanning, you can see that there's 3 areas of egress into the husk itself. There seems to partially heavily damaged area, the strange sort of outer shell, this tangle of strange materials. It doesn't seem to be either metal or stone or even sort of synthetic plastic. It's something that is totally alien to you. Has received heavy damage, and the whole sort of area has been ripped open. Maybe some kind of explosion or collision. But it does look like you couldn't get your ship in there, but you could enter into the interior through there. You would, though, need your evac suits, and you would need oxygen life support to go in there, because obviously there is no life support. The other 2 locations, one seems to be on what seems to be almost an apex of it. There seems to be a sinkhole of sorts that seems to go down, and you are receiving that conditions there. You wouldn't need your oxygen tanks. You could use your evac suits, but you wouldn't need life support. The other one, which is around the dark side of this place, another sort of sinkhole, and again that seems to be sort of safe environmentally for you to enter as well. So you have 3 choices to navigate towards.
Where do we think that the butcher boys would have?
It's impossible to tell without going to their ship and seeing if they made any kind of plans. It is impossible to tell. You're not picking up any life signs. You're not picking up any detections of them. It could be the fact that it's just being masked by this massive husk.
I don't see the point in us trying to wasting oxygen until we have to.
Yeah.
A precious resource.
Now we know that
I think
Dave had some,
I'm-
so
You spoke of the first area being potentially the result of an explosion.
Yep.
Amos would like to understand whether it was an explosion internally outwards, so broke the ship open that way, or was it due to some concussive impact that hit the ship?
Yeah.
Is that something we could learn?
Absolutely. You spend, again, time is a resource, kind of analyzing this. You've got all sorts of sensors and stuff, and you begin to interpret them. Again, there's no real skill roll needed for this. You're not under any kind of duress or pressure, and you determine that it was an internal explosion, quite powerful. Absolutely. You're not quite sure exactly what. Your guess is like some kind of engine, maybe, which makes you think that it is perhaps like a failed self-destruct code that has not fully happened, only doing partial damage, such as the extent.
I think we tried to reject the warp.
Sorry, that was two people at once. I didn't get either of you.
Do you think they tried to eject the warp? I say to Amos.
Definitely a good reason that they didn't want this being found would be a conclusion. I think if we do journey onto the Hulk, we need to make sure we can get out quickly. If this failed, there's nothing to say it won't restart and have another go.
At least we've got a rough idea where the engines were.
I'm leaning towards.
Might be that it's worth going there first and understanding what caused it.
Everock, you were about to say something?
I'm going to say I'm leaning towards going to the sinkhole on the apex. Simply says on the dark side, it may expend our ship's resources a bit quicker in the rather sub-zero temperatures of the shadow of this ship.
Okay. Now, because you've taken quite a lot of time for this, this is Shadowdark, and what I'm going to do is roll. Oh, and it's all on. Hopefully everybody can see that on screen. Okay, so what this means is that you have encountered something. I've got my encounter chart here. I shall roll this. We've got a 7. So as you're kind of analysing all of this, what you begin to notice is there are some things moving across the hull of this ship. You have encountered these kind of things before. They're not alien creatures. They are things that latch onto things in the void of space. They're quite harmless, mostly to organics, but to the metallic hull of ships, they like to dissolve, to rust, to eat the metals. It's a distance away from your ship at the moment, but they seem to have noticed it now, and you can see them sort of quite beautifully launch themselves off the husk, and they're making their way, propelling themselves through the void of space towards your ship. If they clamp on, they will cause quite specific damage to it.
Fly behind the butcher boys, see if it'll latch onto them, and then let's get to that ingress point you wanted, Captain.
As long as you're happy going that rather than investigating the explosion, then let's get going.
Okay, so
We need to move.
You're going to have to be evasive here. So I would like you to tell me what skill you want to use, what attribute to give me a piloting. Are you using the computer? It will be intelligence. Are you using your dexterity?
I think using computer to pilot it seems appropriate.
So you begin to start typing rapidly using all of your skills as a pilot. Can you give me a skill check, intelligence, please? For transparency, this is a 13 that is going to be needed. What is your modifier? +3, a 15,
Yep.
yeah? 15 is enough as you skillfully manage to maneuver this ship. Evasive action against these hull eaters as they choose the slaughterhouse as their tasty meal instead. They clamp onto it and gives you chance to escape them and move close to the sinkhole at the apex. This is where you assemble your away team now. So one at a time, We'll say, starting with you, Amos, I want you to roll me a D4. This is for your current luck tokens. We are using Shadowdark Pulp mode for this game. Nice. I believe that is a 2. Very good. So you have 2 luck points for this session. Then we move down to Evrock. I believe that is 2. 2
Yep.
for Evrock as well. We move to Sprocket. Four. Look at you. And last but not least, Ix. 2 as well. Cool. So just as a reminder, you can use luck for a number of things. You don't have any maximum luck points. You can choose it to re-roll or make me re-roll a dice. You can choose to cause a normal hit into a critical hit. And you can use it to take an extra action. So what is your procedure? How do you gather your equipment, and what equipment are you taking with you? We'll start off with Ix. As you begin to load up, you can't take your ship down here. You're going to have to basically drop down. You don't have the luxury of some kind of landing craft or shuttlecraft. You are rappelling down into this sinkhole.
So I gather together in my trusty backpack all my kind of the usual stuff, so my usual kind of ship delving equipment. It goes into the bag, and then bolt on kind of a layer that goes under the evac suit of just kind of a bit of body armor, just because I'm small and generally squishy, and then jump in or climb into my evac suit, and then the last thing I pick up is, it looks like it probably started life as a ladle, but over time has been enhanced with various bits and pieces and other bits of metal and gadgets and things that I've found. So it's this kind of vaguely futuristic looking mace, which I just kind of have looped to my belt as a last resort, and in case we get to the I need to get into somewhere that's closed or hit a thing and run away stage.
Perfect. Same question to you, Sprocket.
Yeah, Sprocket puts on his hard weave evac suit, straps his scav pack to his back. He's got a grapnel on his side, a boarding rod, flare batons, a fire starter, and then he's got his handy Andy kind of mechanics tools around his waist that usually gets him through doors and able to take down kind of dangerous traps and the like. And he's got a big plasma rifle strapped to his back as well.
Okay, all geared up just in case. Well, there might be some butchers down here. They're not going to be best pleased if they don't have a ship left. There's not going to be much of a ship left with those hull rusters. Then we move to you, Evrock. What gear are you taking?
Evrock's going to be taking, well, a standard suit, back, have a flashlight dangling from a hip, and maybe a couple of bags with some shrapnel in it, just in case. You might want to run from these sorts of individuals. Perhaps a unusual sort of spear that she uses to channel psionic energy.
Interesting. We'll come on to that in a minute. Last but not least, though, we've got Amos.
Amos quite deliberately, quite slowly, methodically armors himself up. Inside the exterior of the evac suit, again, there's plastex or like plates, gives him some extra protection from potential environmental and physical hazards. Has a quite unique boarding spear. This is like a 10-foot pole, but potentially with either a very heavy end, used as kind of like his primary way of getting around and being aware of his surroundings. But if it comes to it, he is quite adept at the firearm of choice being his blaster pistol. So between that and a heavy Plastech shield, is likely to be first through the breach.
Excellent. And as I say, you go to your airlock, you check each other's gear. I mean, it's critical. All the signs are that it's going to be dark down there, but you won't need to use your evac suits for life support, so it'll conserve your oxygen cylinders. And supposedly gravity is functioning. I mean, this is quite a large husk. You've never really seen anything as big as this before. So with that, you descend down, the lights of your ship disappearing off into the distance as you descend down onto the hull of the husk, and then down this quite large sinkhole which penetrates deep down. By the time you hit whatever floor you hit, it is damp. It is there is moisture all over. Your filtration systems are perhaps analysing that there are chemical kind of smells, but it is safe to breathe. If any of you wish to take your helmets off, you don't need to though. But the one thing is that you are plummeted into darkness. So with that, how are you going to see? What are you going to light up?
I'll break my flare baton.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for the viewers at home, a flare baton is the equivalent of a torch in Fantasy Shadowdark. So this is going to last an hour. An hour of real time, and I have the timer started. So there is a degree. The way that Shadowdark works as well is you act in initiative order. So I would all like you to roll initiatives, please, which I believe are just dexterity rolls. Some of you might, because of the classes you've taken, have advantage on it. I'm not entirely sure of that.
I do, yeah.
So unless you've got different coloured dice, let me know your initiatives. Sprocket, what did you get?
I'm wrong now, so you know.
All right, excellent.
3.
A 3. And what did you get, Ix?
14.
14 for Ix. How about you, Amos?
7.
7 for that, Amos. And last but not least, Evrock.
13.
13, nice. So Evrock, Amos. So the order is, just as you begin to search through this place, is Ix, Evrock, Amos, and then Sprocket. So in this style of game, you don't need to make skill rolls, but you do need to vocalize in a dramatic and cinematic way how you are making your progress through here. As you do, you each have an action and a move as we do this, and we are working on real time and resources and gear are low. So you descend down Ix. You're going to be the first to make a first move. What is your purpose? What are you doing? What is the first action you're going to take?
So it's going to be quite an intensive search around, like just visual search of the area that we're in, not moving away from my companions, but just trying to take serious stock of where we are, but also clock any markers and any indications of kind of path markers and things like that. So immediately, my aim is to be able to get back to this point if I can, basically.
Yeah. Okay. So you take that into place. I mean, it's difficult. The flare baton. What colour is your flare sprocket? They come in all sorts of colours.
It's red.
Red, yeah, of course, red. So that oppressive red sort of coming off all of your evac suits, kind of the helmets, there is glare, and you're kind of looking around. You've been in a number of husks before, nothing this size, of course. If you descend too deep in here, it's going to take you one hell of a time to come out. What you decide is that you want to find a place that has salvage fast. Get in, get out. That was the thing. And looking around, you do notice that to one side there seems to be a strange twisting corridor. There's no conduits, there's no piping, there's no signs of any kind of electrical cables or anything else here. It seems to be akin to more organics. But whether it's a gut feeling, whether it is your experience, you kind of think that way.
I will point that corridor out to
Okay.
my companions.
And you can move off in that direction as well, bearing in mind that resources are very important in this game.
Yeah, I would sort of, I think this way, and start going that way, but not getting too far ahead. So kind of trying
Well,
to keep pace
you,
with.
you want to stay in the light. Obviously, you want to stay in the light. Maybe you don't. Maybe you got a death wish. Evrock, what do you do?
Ifrock is going to be looking around, trying to see any kind of writing, if there's any markings or otherwise that she might be able to compare to this strange object she likes to carry around with her.
Okay. You look around and it's kind of strange, but what you thought were scratches in the wall, indentations, dents, as you look, they bear a similarity. Strange kind of almost hexagonal kind of imprintations. But the way that Braille is, or other kind of ways of communicating through icons, there are different combinations of these same sort of hexagonal kind of indentations all over the place. It is some kind of, one couldn't say archaic or ancient language, but one could say alien language, of course, which you have no comprehension of. What you need is some kind of Rosetta Stone or some kind of comparison. We could spend time here looking at it and trying to work it out if you want in this entry chamber. Spend as much time as you want.
No, I am going to follow on. If there's perhaps some time when we're on our way out, I'd certainly be like to, but we came here to get salvage.
But there's definitely some kind of connection. Interesting, very interesting. And I mean, obviously, intelligent life, they are capable of space travel, but this thing looks kind of semi-organic, kind of, well, organic's the wrong word, but natural. It looks almost like an asteroid, but an asteroid made out of strange metal, plastic, and stone. And again, even your sensors can't really determine the nature of the material it's actually manufactured from. But you move off, and we move rapidly to Amos.
Seeing that the party has kind of picked a direction, Amos wants to make sure he's the furthest in that direction whilst remaining within the light.
Yeah.
Very happy to play point man, if this was in his traditional military experience, whilst actively perceiving mainly for sound. He thinks sound would give him an earlier clue than any sight
Yep.
or light down here.
Okay. So you move off, trying to take point, watching out. Perfect. Last but not least, Sprocket.
So you guys would have seen Sprocket do this before, but he holds out the flare baton towards Ix, asking you just to hold it for a second. And when you take hold of it, he takes both of his hands and he puts it, first of all, directly on the floor, and you can tell that he's trying to feel for vibrations through the material, and then on the sides, and he's just trying to get a feel of kind of the makeup of the ship. He knows it's not a material he's touched before, but he's just trying to find pulses, or is there energy within it that would give us any idea of the way we might need to go. And then once he does that, he steadies himself again and he carries on the way that Ix was going.
Okay, that is a beautiful description, and you begin to sort of focus, almost the way that people would listen for maybe horses coming through the ground, to the slightest sense of anything in this vast satellite-sized husk. And you do notice something faint, and it seems that Ix's gut feeling is also correct. You have the confidence that, well, wherever you're going is probably going to lead to something. Exactly what that something is yet to be answered. But as you only have a finite amount of time and resources, it is best to be getting on with it. You begin to move down rapidly, taking all of these actions. One assumes that you're going to repeat these actions until something else changes. So we're still in initiative, but I'm not going to overly ask you over and over again. There are some side chambers that come off this. There are more of these strange kind of hexagonal kind of imprints on the wall, some kind of language perhaps. It is at this point that one or more of you, with the light that you've got, see something up on the floor glinting, and at first somewhat excited, degree of anxiety. Then you recognize what it is, and it is up to you how you want to act. It is another flare baton, used up, discarded, cold, dropped here, not alien salvage. We'll go through this again. Ix, you're at the top of initiative. You all see this at the same time with the descriptions that you've got. Do you want to default to someone else investigating it, or what do you do?
I would go over and have a look at it and try and gauge, or basically trying to see if there's any other signs beyond just a dropped baton. Is there a large pool of blood that it's landed in, or anything, telltale that might suggest serious danger?
Okay. You pick it up and you examine it, and yeah, something comes off it. It's got a bit of an irony smell. It's blood, absolutely. It's coagulated. It's not sticky anymore. It's been on this item for a long time, maybe a few days, but it's definitely blood. And what makes it strange is the blood isn't where you would expect it to be. The blood is actually on the top of the flare baton, as if it was used as a weapon. As if one person hit another person with it.
Okay. That's not worrying in the slightest.
But we'll move down to Evrock. We are in initiative roll, so Evrock.
I would say I would probably have communicated
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
as I was noticing it, just to say.
It's fluid, but the pace of Shadowdark, which is what I like, gives everybody a
Yeah.
bite at that apple, as it
Mhm.
were. So, Evrock, you hear this. Is there anything you particularly want to do, either about this or about something else?
Hey, if it looks we've been used as a weapon, I was look around for any other signs of we clearly hit something. Is there a splatter, or just generally cautiously searching, carefully examining the walls? Maybe there's something slightly unusual, or a boot round a corner in a side room, or anything like that.
Okay. You begin to sort of search. You notice that there's a strange recess. It's very dark. The light, unfortunately, coming from the flare baton that your crew of junkers have got isn't in the right place to purely illuminate that recess. I mean, you could just reach in and sort of have a look. It would be a squeeze for you to go in yourself, or you could perhaps either light one of your precious flare batons, or perhaps call one of your crew members over.
Oh, call over one of the crew members. Flares are very valuable.
Okay. We move to Amos. Obviously, there is something up here. Hopefully, you have all of the information. It looks like it's been used as a weapon, and it seems very much like Evok
Yeah.
has noticed something.
So we are confident that the blood is of a nature we would recognise, be it human, dwarf, or elf,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
alien.
It would be an ancestry's blood rather than
Yep.
alien blood.
That's not disturbing in the slightest. I'd just also like to confirm that it has the markings of the Butcher's Guild on it, if it's that kind of equipment that they would definitely carry and mark as their own again.
I mean, it's
other than-
It's typical junker gear. So yes, they
Okay.
would, but any other junker would as well.
Okay.
They unfortunately don't have their own branded flare
Yeah.
batons.
Oh, you're a member of a guild. You've got to rep the guild. I
Yeah.
suppose. True. Little bit of advertising goes a long way. No. Again, very prepared to be reactive to anything that happens.
Okay, so like on
It's quite
Overwatch.
still. If we were talking technically, yeah, let's have that kind of
that's absolutely fine.
tactically.
It's your
Mhm.
shtick. So it seems that Evok
Mhm.
is still waiting for you, Sprocket, to maybe bring the baton over.
Yeah, before I do, I just again I stand still for a second, hold my breath and listen to see if I can hear anything, and then once that's, I'll step forward and hand the baton over to our captain so he can have a look.
So very much again the same sort of feeling as before. No greater, but certainly no less. You take the baton, I guess, Evrock, and now you can complete your turn. And as the light sort of shines into this small recess, and it's kind of strange. It's kind of almost an interweaving of this strange material the husk is made from. It doesn't really seem to be like a chamber or any kind of has any kind of real purpose. But a grisly sight means there is the charred remains of a evac suit and a corpse within. It looks like not only were they bludgeoned with this, it was used to incinerate them as well. You can pick up the smell of some synth diesel. This is deliberate. This individual has been cremated.
We're in the middle of some guild wars, guys. This is a hit.
Okay.
Definitely.
How easy is it to get to the? Is the body like crammed into a space and is not accessible, or could it be removed?
Yeah, you could remove it. It's going to take a degree of time and make some noise, but you could do it. Absolutely.
Okay. So I could have a look and just see if there's any signs of anything, or we could just crack on and do what we came here to do. I
thinking-
don't mind.
I think this is running down, and you're going to make some noise, and that might attract things. And if there's
Then-
other guilds here,
Keep
in and
moving.
out.
Then let's crack on, and it'll be fine, I'm sure. People have arguments. That's just disagreements happen.
And cover themselves in diesel.
100%. I'm sure it's absolutely fine.
Around people with open flames.
Well, good. So, okay. Oh boy. Okay. On we go,
Okay.
I suppose.
One
Mhm.
assumes you now continue cautiously as ever, making your way closer and closer to where you believe that there might be a degree of salvage. You move forward, taking care, being aware of your surroundings as best as you can be. You come to another chamber. This time it opens out, but it's again strange. The geometry within this husk. You never really noticed this before with the smaller husks, but this husk being of a much larger scale, it's kind of almost Escher-esque, as the beams don't seem to fully meet each other, and then when you move your line of sight somewhat, you realize that they do. Sometimes up kind of almost feels like it's down, the way that these strange materials are, and this chamber is almost a perfect example of that dizzying, confusing architecture. What is more apparent is there seems to be just three slabs, monoliths, standing maybe 5 feet tall, thin and tapered, but ultimately smooth like mirrors, apart from the occasional indentation in them of these strange hexagonal shapes. And there's three of them forming what would be considered a small sort of stone circle or maybe triangle. They look beautiful, and the red light from your baton just kind of reflects brightly from their mirrored surfaces. The whole thing is both beautiful and disturbing in equal measure.
How big are they, Andy?
4 or 5 foot, seem to be embedded in the floor. But this is the kind of stuff here is where you might find some salvage. There seems to be a resonance in here as well, as you have been following that humming, that vibration. It seems that these kind of like tuning forks that have been hit and are vibrating. Very subtle, you can't actually hear it, but with your senses of trying to notice something, you notice something. You haven't entered the chamber yet. This is what you see. You can't notice anything else at the moment. Sorry, yeah, I'm forgetting what game system we are using. We're still in initiative. Ix, how would you like to react to this?
So we're standing at the entrance to this chamber. We haven't gone in yet.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't want to, preempt. You might decide to all turn around, get back on your ship, and just fly away.
Have a picnic somewhere. Still sounds like a really good plan.
Do you want me to just scan for traps before we do anything else?
Well, I think that's what I would do because I'm not the one holding the torch. I would stand at the entrance, maybe step just inside to try and get as much of a visual space on the room as I can.
Okay.
See if there's like an obvious walkway that I can point out to people or anything like that. I have just noticed, and you probably also already know this, but I've just twigged I've got keen senses as a goblin, so I cannot be surprised. I don't know if that will be useful at all, but I just thought it was worth mentioning.
What I would say is, as part of my class, I've got find and disable traps with advantage. Okay.
Then I would let the expert get through rather than step into the room first. So I'd just be visually looking and then
your keen senses of not being surprised kind of kick in, and rather than be surprised, you wait for Sprocket to go in so they can be surprised instead. And that way then you won't be surprised. Yeah. Evrock, are you going to wait for Sprocket to move forward? Is there anything you want to do whilst you're waiting?
Yes, I am going to hold out my orb with the strange etchings on them, and I'm going to see if I can try and get it to resonate and detect any other sort of alien artifacts.
Okay, so for those of you who are in chat, this is a reskin. So Kyle is playing, in effect, a wizard class, but we've reskinned it to Psyker and is using his psychic abilities, I believe, I am guessing, to cast Detect Magic.
Yes, that's right.
Look at that. It works as we do the translation. So you have a spellcasting DC of 11. Is that right? First level spell.
Yep.
And you need to make a spellcasting roll, please. Oh, that does not look good. That does not look good.
Look point.
Yes, I think it's going to need to be.
Okay, so Evrock, you've got 2 luck points. You can certainly do that. That will hopefully stop you losing access to that spell, or rather psych ability.
Or even worse.
Even worse. Oh dear.
That's the mishap, I believe.
It is. Do you want to spend your final luck point, or would you like a mishap to happen?
Can I spend multiple luck points?
Yeah,
I will
it's a resource. Once it's used, it's used. You're all out of luck.
I'll spend one of my luck points to help him.
Okay, I'm more than happy for that.
Thank you.
This is Sprocket, who's got all the money and all the luck in the world. All right. So I want a cinematic of this. I know we're playing a dungeon crawl in space. But you try twice. The second time it almost glitching and mishapping. How does your psychic ability look? How does it manifest? And how on earth does Sprocket manage to stop you blowing everybody up?
I know what Sprocket's done, but we can go through Kyle first.
Yeah.
I'm going to be closing my eyes, lifting the spear towards the monoliths and trying to focus on it, trying to get it to sort of rise up and resonate with them. And I think as I fail, it's sort of, rather than rising up, I'm tilting my hands to the wrong side and it's almost falling out of them.
Perfect. And this strange geometry, this Escher-esque twisting and turning, is disorientating. So how do you write this rung?
Yeah, so Sprocket's been feeling these vibrations all the way through, and as soon as he sees our illustrious leader level his psychic staff up, he feels these vibrations start to go crazy. So he just reaches across and just yanks the psychic staff out of his hand to level it, because I can just see that these things are going to go crazy if he doesn't stop. But you obviously got caught up in the moment there. Yeah, there's a lot of power in this room.
It allows you to snap out of it and cast this spell. The monoliths, they glow with alien power. Not unsurprising, but these items are certainly scav tech. You have no idea how they're going to be used, how the corporations could use them, but there's certainly something here that if you could get them back to your ship, you would get a fair payday for them. The problem is that these items, they are large and they seem to be fixed to the floor.
Okay.
So that is you, Evrock, and then we move to Amos.
Again, anticipating that Sprocket is likely to want to enter the room first, is also carrying the light, would wait just that half a beat to see Sprocket having recovered their position, and then follow him into the room, sort of like the bodyguard of.
Perfect.
Make sure he's never on his own.
Perfect. So we
And
move
if
to...
that,
Yeah. Sorry.
So
Yeah.
Sprocket does his standard things when he's doing these things. He hands off to you, Amos. He passes the baton behind you, and he starts taking out the many instruments out of his belt, various scanning units, things that beep. You swear some of the things he's just got just beep for the sake of beeping, because he seems to be okay when they're beeping. When they don't beep, he looks really worried. And he starts to scan the room in general in these three monoliths to see if he can spot anything that might cause us any harm.
Yep. Okay. Unfortunately, this is going to need a roll with advantage. That looks like you got 17 on the dice. Absolutely no problem.
18 overall.
Yep. You very skillfully kind of analyze this room, and you think that there is something here that you're all going to have to be very careful with. That because of the strange alien Escher-esque architecture, if you don't step very, very carefully, you're going to take a misstep. And a misstep could mean that you're going to sort of fall a distance. The way that this room is constructed, there's a lot of what seem to be sort of girders and sort of spires and spikes and the like, kind of all tangled together like a strange sort of almost spherical nest, as it were, really. Kind of like a wicker-esque kind of ball that you're in the center of. So if you take a misstep, it's not like it's deliberately designed to cause you harm. But if you don't watch where you're going, you could easily cause yourself some harm. So extra caution, especially moving down to this central area where these three monoliths are that are now glowing with psychic energy.
Sprocket will turn to the rest of you, and he kind of waves around, showing this kind of uncanny valley type makeup of these many different ways. And he turns to you and goes, concentrate on the floor in front of you. The physics are going to throw you off. Follow the floor. And he starts walking forward, very methodically following just the line in front of him, not taking into account any of the strange physical anomalies that are going on around him. How steps seem to go one way and then another way back on themselves. And
and it's almost the distance between the entry into this strange chamber and where the monoliths are seems to be quite a near distance, not particularly far. But then you begin to realize it's almost like a labyrinthine maze that if you were just to walk directly to it, it could be fatal. as you watch your feet and you carefully move around. There's going to be no skill rolls for this because you've uncovered the nature of what you need to do. It is, though, going to burn time. And one assumes you want to make your way down to the monolith rather than bypassing it and leaving this chamber. You can do either. The choice is yours. I think we'll make that choice X's due to the fact that you are going next.
Oh boy.
You can certainly ask the rest of your crew which direction you want to go in.
So we said in and out with stuff. That stuff. Shall we see if we can get the stuff?
That's Fred's.
I will endeavour to make my way across the web maze thing to get to closer to the monoliths.
Yeah. I do like unspeakable, unnameable terrain that I don't have to describe because I can say it is beyond description, this terrible flooring. And it is beyond description. Imagine the very worst thing that you could imagine and multiply it by 100. Imagine broken glass and caltrops and, I don't know, carpets that are like marshmallows and suck you down. All sorts of things.
Blech.
It's nothing like that because I can't describe it. But imagine the very worst that you can, and it's worse than that. You begin to descend down, but with the skills of Sprocket kind of telling you to just focus one step at a time, follow your feet, don't look beyond. You microscope down to that niche rather than being overwhelmed by the whole. Eventually you make your way down. You find yourself on this hexagonal platform with these 3 monoliths. The monoliths are actually much smaller than you first thought. As you get closer to them, it's not so much they shrink. Again, proportions just seem to morph and change. It's very strange. They still, though, glow with that psychic power, and they are, as you get to this hexagonal platform that they are embedded in, you realize that they are perhaps not 4 or 5 foot high, but half that, maybe only about 2 foot. Again, with these strange markings on. It has taken you time to maneuver through here. And time equals potential random encounters. And I do like the random charts that I've made for this. Oh, it's another 1. Oh dear, you are unlucky. Or I'm rather lucky today. So let's see what we've got. This is a different one because it's interior of the ship. And we've got a 6 now. Okay, as you begin to sort of move through here, something happens as you get to the monolith itself. It's almost like there is a flare. The vibrations that you sense begin to get a little stronger, not enough to throw you off your feet, but it seems that these monoliths begin to flare up with their own internal energies, and now these little hexagons upon them that seem to be just black and recessed begin to glow with a strange greenish light. The lights seem to splay into the center where the 3 monoliths face each other, and what appears in front of you is a strange looking creature. It's kind of insectoid in nature, but it seems to have 3 legs and 3 arms. It is strange, tall and gangly. An oversized head with a strange kind of more of what appears to be like pincers, and 2 which you would imagine to be kind of eyes of sorts, which again are strange hexagonal in design, but they are multifaceted and kind of close to the top of the head, probably meaning a full 360-degree vision. This thing almost seems to become made real as it looks at you. All three arms begin to extend out, and you see that the length of the arms are inconsistent with the height of this creature, much longer than you would anticipated. And then shtick, out of all three of them, these wrist spurs seem to come out, dripping with some kind of toxin. Let us go to initiatives. By the way, Ix, you're not surprised.
No, not at all.
Like you planned it.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. I'm just going to move around. Ix, what did you get?
Is it plus dex for initiative?
I
Says
believe
yes.
so.
Oh, that's irrelevant. So 10, because I have nothing to add.
Okay. Sprocket, what did you get?
12.
12. Nice. Sprocket. Then Amos.
6.
6. Oh dear, Amos. And then
Did say it was a bit slow.
Evrock, what is yours?
14.
14. Oh, look at you. Look at you. It's always the same, whatever system, elves. Elves. It's not in this system. I better do it for this thing, this alien creature.
I mean, you don't have to.
I know I
We're
don't.
quite happy for it to outlast.
What are you saying that I can just oops, I shouldn't have advantage, sorry. I apologise with that. I got excited, rolling the dice too fast. That is a 3. I am disappointed even with its dexterity. The creature is going last. So this thing just kind of manifests. It looks like it was teleported here. That's about as the best thing that you can kind of do. It doesn't look like a hologram. It looks very, very real. We are in combat now, and on a 14, Evrock, you get to go first.
Okay, Amos, assessment. Do we fight or should we run? You are generally better at this sort of thing.
It's a fair question, Amos. This thing is aggressive.
I would be looking to fight. This thing has appeared in front of us, is ready to be aggressive. If you want to run, I will stand and fight to hold it back.
Okay.
You won't be able to run back through this room.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I will need your guidance, Rocket.
I mean, it's almost as if it was designed that way.
Okay, I am hopefully going to do better this time as I hold out my orb again and attempt to will it to launch something at this creature.
Okay.
And to essentially cast a magic missile.
Yeah, you summon your psychic boats.
Advantage.
So yeah. So this is magic missile in this is that's a 14, which is above 11, so it does work. One of the nice things about magic missiles in this system, you have advantage on it, and you do a D4 damage. Strikes it. It slams into it. It's kind of strange though. This kind of alien chitin insectoid, it blasts it, it cracks a little, but it just kind of shrugs it off. And then we move to Sprocket.
It takes a shot, well, just before he takes a shot of it, it looks at it and he goes, Boy, you're one ugly mother.
Well, I love the quotes. I love the quotes. I would like to remind you that you do have luck points as well in this combat before I mercilessly murder you all.
And then he takes a shot.
Yeah. Oh dear.
And spends a luck point.
Okay, yeah. Oh, you can do this. That's putting you down to 2 luck.
It is.
Once again, Shadowdark not overly designed. You're supposed to be looking to avoid combats. You okay?
No one, so I'll take that.
You're just going to just let it miss. You kind of shoot.
Yep, I just shoot. I just didn't want to get a malfunction or
Yeah.
a fumble. So
No, that is fine. So boom, boom. Then we move to Ix on 10.
Okay. Am I allowed to inquire, Amos? What do you normally? Would you be going melee or range where you are?
From where I am, I would given I'm carrying the torch at the minute, it'll be ranged. I'm a good shot with a pistol. The team would know that.
Then that being the case, I will. On my evac suit, there is a hand-drawn and quite painstakingly drawn, kind of and slightly embossed carving or image of what looks to be a friendly-looking fellow having a drink, and which most of you would know as if I follow the god that I sort of tend to bend my will to and Geed, so I would tap that, and then reach into a pocket, pull out a strange little item, which I would then rush over towards you and just tap this little mechanical item onto the back of your gun, effectively casting Holy Weapon on your gun. So for the next 5 rounds, you get +1 to attack and damage rolls.
Nice. It's
Awesome.
a power boost for your pistol.
Yes.
Your big gun has gone into a really big gun mode. I believe
I need to roll to do that, don't I?
There's a DC involved in this. I believe it's first level spell. So you just need an 11 and you need to roll a spell casting check, which I think for you will be off your wisdom, if I remember rightly about it all.
Yes, yeah. So it's +2.
Very nice. I think that's is that
10
a 10 plus 2?
10 +2, so
That
12.
is higher than 11, which is always want. Yeah, your gun has just transformed from a big gun to a really big gun, which is really nice. So that is you done, and then we move to Amos.
I would also sidle behind Amos in the process.
Yeah.
So having experienced this before and knowing now is the time to get it right, takes aim and fires.
Perfect.
So with a couple of talents and the weapon mastery in pistols from the fighter, I'm looking already at +2 to hit, now +3 to hit. Is that right?
Yep.
Yep.
It's
an
plus to hit and plus to damage.
Yeah.
So I'm at +3, taking aim and firing. 13 total.
13 total is unfortunately not going to do it. Would you like to use a luck point?
Yeah, I'm spending a luck point.
Okay.
I will spend a luck point.
You have 2, you now have 1. It was very close. Let us see if you can just... Yes. That easily hits.
16.
Yep. So
total.
Can I have some damage from you as well?
+1 to your damage as well, but
We lost your audio there, Andy.
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Can hear him fine. Yeah, I can hear you fine, Andy.
It might be you, Malcolm. You seem to have frozen. Oh, no damage off him. That is such a shame.
I'm not hearing anybody. Are people hearing me?
No.
Yes, hearing you.
well, I'm hearing you, but you're not hearing us, so us answering him is not going to help. Someone type in the Discord chat that we can hear him. That'll be good. And in the meantime, we'll move to you. I
You have
think
to roll damage, Kyle.
yeah, it is go. Yeah, but we do need some damage rolled. Boom, boom, boom. It's always in the most dramatic. When we was running our Call of Cthulhu, it was in the most dramatic moments that audio dropped out. Are you back with us?
Oh, I don't think so.
I can see that. Hey, thank you, Joseph. You're on a little bit of delay, but I really appreciate that. Joseph is in chat.
Has anybody messaged Mark?
Yeah, Kyle did.
Yeah, put it in the chat. Or
Put it into the chat.
I really appreciate it, Joe. Thank you very much. Joe in chat is helping us. Okay, so
Lost him.
yeah,
I can now hear you.
excellent.
Aha.
Roll damage.
Yeah, we're just waiting for your
Roll.
damage roll.
I am looking at 2 to add 2 damage of D4.
Cool.
That's
You
right.
get a +1 from my spell.
Yep, and the +1 from the pistol's weapon mastery.
Yep.
Great.
Nice. Max damage.
Ooh.
Six
So,
then.
sorry, was that 6 total?
Yep.
Very nice. Okay, this thing is now hurt and sort of greenish ichor is coming out of it. The good news, you'll all be very, very pleased. I mean, what kind of thing would have acid for blood? I mean, that is kind of nonsense, isn't it? That is the thing of fiction. But it does leak out, and it is obviously some kind of alien ichor. That said, though, it's not dead, and it wants some vengeance. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be you, Amos. It detected you as a potential threat. It rapidly moves towards you, and it is going to make an attack against you with one of its spurs here. So here we go. That is a 15 to hit your armor class, which I believe would be a hit. You can use one of your luck
It
points
is,
to
yes.
force me to reroll if you want, or you can take the damage.
I shall take the damage on this instance.
Okay, that is perhaps not what you would have wished for. So the first thing is just a d4 from this spur. Which is 3 points of damage. But I would like you to give me a constitution roll as well. As in my earlier description, it was dripping some kind of toxin. So give me a con roll, please.
Yeah. Fortunately, I have a +3 modifier.
Yeah, that's good. And again, for transparency, we are just looking for 10s here. Oh, natural 20. Very, very nice.
Excellent.
And this is a hit or a miss. So as you have this toxin kind of enter your bloodstream, you throw off the effects. It burns, it stings, it's incredibly unpleasant, but no additional damage. So I did mention it's got 2 other arms though, didn't I? Fortunately,
You
it
did?
can't attack you with them. So you are lucky. So we go back to the top of the round, and it's Evrock. What are you doing?
okay, if it bleeds, that's quite reassuring. I'm going to try and do the same thing.
Absolutely. So spell check. DC 11 to magic missile it again. You have advantage on these attacks. That is going to be you successfully casting it. Give me a D4 damage, please.
2 again.
Okay, very nice. Then we rapidly move down to Sprocket this time.
He kind of closes one of his eyes, tries to get a bead on it again, and takes another shot.
Mhm.
But he's rubbish.
It's dark. You're holding a torch. As I say, the glare off these monoliths is not particularly pleasant. We move to Ix.
Yeah, definitely wish I'd bought or acquired ranged weaponry, but never mind. I am going to dash forward and attempt to hit it.
Okay.
Oh boy, this can only go well. So, so I get +2.
Oh,
So naturally, so 22 technically.
yeah, but that's a critical hit. Natural 20. And what weapon was you using?
That was with my mace, so it's a
Okay.
D6.
Yeah, I think what's the rules about crit hits? Is it just double damage? Do we double the damage or double the dice rolled?
I cannot
Tell you now.
remember off the top of my head.
I can call.
Just a
I can call
Yeah, I've
it
got it open a moment. Just give me a second.
because you get extra for this.
And what's about it? Well, it's critical damage. See page 51. Wherever 51 is.
I really need
Damage.
to
Do your
look
critical
straight.
hit, you
Double
roll.
its damage on the attack.
Double the
For-
damage on the attack.
Double its damage dice on the attack. Sorry, so
Okay.
just roll the
So-
roll the 2 dice. Yeah.
So have you just rolled 1 dice?
I think we've lost BMZ.
He
He's
has
frozen.
critically hit himself out of the game.
I'm sure you set
This
this
is what
up this
happens
way.
when you get a
Oh, he's back.
You're back.
You're back.
Not sure what happened there.
You
Roll
hit
2.
him so hard that you created a time
Off into a
space
different dimension.
containment. So,
Roll
what
the
I will
damage
do-
dice.
Yeah, it's double damage dice. Did you have you rolled the damage already?
I have not rolled the damage, so
Okay.
if I just roll 1 dice and then we will double the value of it. Yes,
Well, no, you roll 2 dice. So
Dice.
I
what
rolled
is-
2 dice.
the damage dice for a mace is what, 1d4? Is that
1d6.
1d6, so it's 2d6 damage.
I will roll 2d6.
Plus any modifiers. Very nice. 7 in total.
Yep.
And well, that is enough as you charge forward. I mean, this is a tall creature, tall, gangly, its limbs out of proportion with its body, and you just charge forward. How tall are you, Ix?
Not very.
Okay.
I'm sort of, I can comfortably get into crawl spaces on our ship, so I would say I'm probably in the sort of 3 to 4 feet kind of thing. So I'd kneecap it quite comfortably, I should think.
Two
Perfect.
dwarfs.
So is it
You
the
would-
kneecap that you're taking out then?
I think so. I'd aim for at least the back one, or the aim would be to topple it backwards away from us if I
Yeah.
can.
So you kind of charge forward. You slide between this. It's got 3 legs, so it's kind of almost like a tripod. Come up the other side as it tries to turn round to follow you. These 3 arms are each kind of perpendicular to each other, sort of flailing at you. You just slam it into the leg. It crushes. There is a sickening crack of chitinous outer skin. There is a sort of spurt of this green ichor that goes up in the air, but you don't kill it. You don't even kill it with that, because I want to kill my monsters. It's enough to topple this creature over, though. As it falls, it impales itself on one of the monoliths, snapping it in half. It is no more. And it stays there as well. It doesn't sort of magically disappear. There is obvious. This is the first time this is encounter of the fourth kind, I guess. This is, well, I don't know, is there a see them then murder them kind? Is that like the fifth kind or the sixth kind? um but they turned up and you slayed this thing, which was obviously aggressive anyway, mainly probably because you are on its ship and trying to steal stuff from it. But I mean, that's how one would view it from their point of view, perhaps. We are out of initiatives. A little damage taken by your crew, but it could have been substantially worse there. Cut and throw at the moment. You were very fortunate looking at the amount of fortune points that were spent. There is this green goo that is dripping down one of these monoliths, and they still seem to be powered up at the moment.
Not something you're going to hear me say very often. But let's not be greedy here. Let's take one of these and get them out of here.
Yeah, Amos. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
Just going to say, Amos stepping around any potential liquid on the floor as not to get his feet mucky.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
burnt. Now that we recognise that these monoliths are mini-liths, smaller, and possibly wrenchable from the ground that they appeared to be attached in, wants to wrestle one out and see if he can make off with one into the space in his scav pack.
Okay. Do you want to describe to me how you're going to attempt this, please?
This is bare hands, strongest man kind of wrenching on the, getting as much leverage as he can from the top of the monolith, standing behind it, as it were, so not into the space that this creature was teleported into, and tries to basically just tear it off its moorings.
Okay. This is going to be a challenge. This is not something that is easily done. It seems to be set. Yeah.
Is there any kind of assist rule here? Because I imagine the sprocket would be on the floor with a small welding torch out, trying to kind of burn around the edges to help loosen it somewhat.
There's no assist as such, but occasionally, if you can all give me good descriptions about how you're doing it, I can potentially give you advantage or disadvantage. So I do like a good cinematic, as you are now desperately trying to wrench one of these out. I'm going to go down in order of your appearance on my Discord. Oh dear. The lights have just gone out. You are plunged into darkness as your torch goes out.
I would grab up my... do we jump back into the previous initiative for general action, or is it a whole new thing?
We'll roll initiatives, but at the moment you're plunged into darkness as you are trying to do all this.
I would grab my flare torch and try and light that up immediately if I can.
Okay, yeah, these things are kind of almost instantaneous. Kind of, it's horrible. You just the lights go out in that last moment, and you rapidly. I mean, at any moment, one of these other things could arrive again, and there's no signs of any other lights around here. These things can most definitely see in the dark. As you crack your flare baton and it flares again. What colour have you chosen?
Mine is green.
Green, okay, yeah. Green light sort of flares over. Another resource down. Timer started again. And everybody now give me initiative rolls and we will see how you're going to, as a crew, junk out this monolith. So what I'm going to ask for is Technically speaking, rules as written, we can kind of do this. So who got the highest?
Amos.
Amos with 19.
Amos with 19. Anybody got between 15 and 19?
No.
No. Anybody got between 10 and 15?
No.
Oh. Anybody got between 5 and 10?
I got 6.
Nope.
Okay, 6 for Sprocket. Okay, Eve Rock, proving elves don't always go first. What did you get?
4.
4. And UX.
Also 4.
Okay, you're simultaneous, but I'm putting X first. But it's simultaneous to be fair. Okay, so just in this order, I'm asking a descriptive of how you are going to work together as a crew to try and get one of these monoliths out of the floor here. So starting off with you, Amos.
Brute strength and ignorance seems to be
Okay.
his favourite tool of the moment.
Okay, I'm going to
He
ask for.
does have advantage on his strength checks.
Yeah, I'm going to ask for rolls in a minute off all of you. I'm just allocating what is going on. Sprocket, what are you doing?
Okay. Dives into his tool belt again, pulls out a couple of like welder's tools, and goes to the base of the monolith that he's trying to wrench out at the moment. You see him tap a little to try and find where the weakest point might be, and then he starts trying to melt away some of the metal at the bottom to help free it up a little.
Okay. So what would you consider this being in terms of? Is this going to be a sort of thievery check? So dexterity, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Then X.
Okay. I have an idea. Let me know what you think. What I would like to do is, knowing my crew well, I would know Amos is generally does quite well at the strength thing, so I would be aware that he'd probably have an advantage in that scenario. So what I would like to do, if it's okay, is effectively cast my holy weapon spell again, but on the welding gear that Sprocket started to use to give that check advantage.
Interesting.
Basically, to try and make it more effective for what he's doing it with. Your call, but that was my thought.
Yeah. No, I like people working out, and this is the great fun of old school games with new mechanics, is that you can think out of the box somewhat. Okay, so that's you. And Evok, what are you attempting to do?
I'm wondering if I could tie a rope to it and use something to help leverage with the strength check to help tilt it away.
This would be using your strength as well, if you're going
Unless
to do
I
that.
can argue for intelligence for looking for particular points of how to do it, but
I
I
mean,
don't think so.
You can use mechanics, absolutely. The idea of leverage and telling people where to do it, that is perfectly fine for me. Okay, so this is going to be a group check. You need it's 4 checks, so you need at least 50% successes over fails. X, you unfortunately don't get a roll, so yours counts technically as a fail, but you empower someone else to give them the great possibility of a success.
Okie doke.
So that's kind of how it works. The chances are that this should work. So Amos, you're going first. Brute strength. Give me a strength roll.
So strength. Naturally have +1. I am rolling with advantage.
Yep, that sounds good to me. That is super sweet. Very nice.
I'll pick the 19.
Yeah, absolutely. That is without doubt one success. Then we move to Sprocket. You now have a bonus to this.
So are you going to lower the DC, or are you going to give me an addition to my dice roll?
You have an addition to your dice roll. That's the way the spell works.
What is it? An extra one, is it?
You need to cast this spell as well, don't you? So the way that we'll do this, sorry, just one moment, is you cast a spell. If you succeed in the spell, that counts as a success. If you fail on the spell, it won't be a success.
Cool. Okay, so shall I do that?
Yeah, if you do that now, because it will empower the role of this.
Yeah, that's cool.
Slightly out of order. We're going off road. This is what these kind of games are all about.
It's remembering that spell casting isn't automatic.
Yeah. No, it's great, which is why I love this.
Okay.
Joseph in chat says Shadowdark very much encourages people doing creative things. I 100% agree.
Okay, that was an 11.
11 is all you need. So your thing is technically a success as well. I mean, you are 50% there, but let's see how great a success this is. So we move to Sprocket. You have a +1 to this roll.
Okay.
In addition to whatever extra pluses you have.
Yeah, and then this is like a thieves' tooly thing, right? So I'd get an advantage of that because
absolutely.
Of the cool.
Look
Let's see what
at
happens.
You maxing the rolls. Look at this, natural 20. Natural 20.
Oh, excellent.
Okay.
I think what happens is as I'm welding at the bottom and you kind of empower the welding gun a little bit, it just suddenly goes plasma rather than weld through the base.
Beautiful. I mean, this is not necessarily a delicate piece of salvage, but you don't know. You don't know what it does, what it can do. So you want to try and do things as well as possible, because I mean it might be one of these monoliths that ripped out a hole in the rest of the husk. I mean that's quite a good idea. I might make a note about that. Only joking. Evok, you'll go.
No natural ones, people.
What is that total with
14.
Your 14? Very good. I mean that is a 4 by 4. You are much better than a motley crew. You have somehow managed to remove this thing from it, and it's kind of strange as you sort of get it out. You realise it was fixed, but as you pull it out, there are kind of strange tendrils to it. For anybody who's seen teeth being pulled out, it's almost as if you've just ripped an incisor out of here, and it was attached by these fine tendrils, nerve-like things, and the entire area just begins to do that classic Star Trek original series, throwing you to one side to another, as there is a shaking of the husk, as if this thing has felt pain. But you have recovered some salvage. This is Scav Tech, alien artifact, very nice. It only is one load, or rather one gear slot. Who's got a spare gear slot? Who's going to take this?
I'm good for haulage. Amos is good for haulage.
Okay. So
Great.
you've got spare space for that.
4. Yep.
So write down Scav Tech. It takes up one gear slot. Very, very good. I mean, did that so smoothly, and there's another 2 there. Another 2 just waiting to be salvaged.
How many rounds is this good
Shall I
for?
look, team?
I turn around to X, pointing at my welding gun. How much longer is this good for?
I think
magic 5 rounds.
5 rounds. So you got 5 rounds. You've used 1 round so far.
Should we
If
go
we
again?
can make the attempt.
Did say you weren't going to get greedy on this one.
You're the captain.
2 out of 3.
I will concede with majority.
Let's not get the sticky one.
Well, actually,
Yeah,
I wouldn't
we're
mind
leaving that one
the
behind.
blood.
Oh, the greed is coming in now. You are. I mean, the ship is shaking. Not the entirety of this ship, but certainly this area. But you don't seem to be
Oh, it's still
interrupting.
shaking.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I see. I thought it was a shake and then it died down. If it's still going, I'd be less eager. I have to say.
I mean, if you spend an hour or so here, maybe it will subside.
What do you think, Amos?
Bit of a context question, Andy.
Yep.
1 unit of scav tech versus the costs of running a ship for a week. How do they balance? Is this a lot of money, or is
Depends
it
on the
not
scav
enough
tech.
to be?
It depends on the scav tech, basically, and what people will pay for it. Mechanically, the way that Junkers work is very much your ship looks after itself, because it is a story way of getting to the dungeon. The reality,
which is why I kind of said.
Yeah, I was going to say the reality of it is that you've got some. This counts as like a gem in that. It might be enough gold. Certainly not enough gold to get you experienced up to level 2 at the moment. But if you're dead, you're never going to reach level 2. But there are 2 others of equal value here that are just waiting. But it's that balance of what you're going to decide to do.
Amos would be for pulling at least one more tooth.
Let's do it then.
Okay.
Clear majority.
And I don't mind sort of this kind of conversation because you are burning time. Your torches are going low. So you make this, and we'll go straight through to it again. We've got our initiatives. Are you going to do the same things? X, you don't need to. You can do something different this time, should you choose to. The magic is still working, or rather, the enhancement on your tools is still working for the moment. So, if you're all going to do more or less the same actions, Amos, I would like a brute strength roll, please.
With advantage.
Yep,
With
please.
my +1. Getting there.
That is nice. I'm going to be transparent about this. That is 1 success. Very good. We move to Sprocket. You've got these enhanced tools. That is a 2nd success. Then we move to X. You could do something different this time.
I am. Maybe it's a cop out, but on the basis that we've got 2 successes already, I am gonna start prepping the exit as much as anything. So just kind of make sure we've got all our stuff together and try and find the right way out, basically. I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah. No.
Ultimately.
That is fine. Which means Evok, are you going to try and help them with this again, or are you going to do something else this time?
No, I want to gather a vial of that blood. No, the captain should lead and help. Okay, I'll try and continue with physics. Rather poorly.
Okay, so has a degree of an impact. This one doesn't come out as smoothly, but it does come out. That is the 2nd. It only takes up 1 gear slot, but again, have you got spare space for this? That is an important question. Amos, is your gear still able to take this?
Amos has room, but wouldn't want to be initially greedy. Unless you're using Amos as the hauler, because I've got the bonus of being the fighter.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've also got space.
We split, don't we? Take this the right way. You're the mule, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Amos gathers the the tooth and
Okay, that is
aligns it with his other.
two scav tech that you've got at the moment. There is the third one still there. It seems Ix is gathering together all of your supplies though. It's not shaking any more than it was. It seems that removing a second one hasn't exaggerated or exacerbated the shaking, but it's definitely sensed it. We'll make another because we've done this round. It's a dangerous situation. Roll. Still okay for the moment. You are aware that we are on a ticking clock of this shaking. They know that something's going on. Maybe removing this means that they can't transport themselves to here, but there might be other places like this amongst the husk. Your choice.
It looks at you,
Captain,
Amos.
my captain.
Let's go.
Hmm?
Let's go.
Yeah. Bucket. Captain, my captain. We are leaving.
Okay, it is at this point that you
Which is
kind
an
of,
interesting combination of quotes.
it is at this point that you look up at this very Escher-like sort of geometry and architecture and the like. You're not sure which is the correct way out of here. Not totally sure. No one marked the path. No one made markings on the path that you took. You were all focusing on your feet, sensibly. But you look and there's several different potential ways that you could go to take you back the way that you came. What are you going to do about this situation? I shall start off in initiative order. Amos, you can default to other people. You can try and do
Yeah,
something about the
Amos
situation.
looks up and recognizing that the path isn't the path that he was even briefly remembering, and hopes others wiser and smarter would guide him, ready to move as soon as somebody points the way. And that's literally what he says to Evrog. It's Captain, lead me out of here.
Then we move to Sprocket. Are you going to take the lead in this, or do you wish to default to someone else?
Sprocket's pretty
Yeah.
He's pretty perceptive. And he
There
was
is
the one
no
that kind of.
such thing as perception in this game.
No, what I mean by that is that he was the one that kind of surveyed the room,
Yeah.
figured the trap out, and that. So he's going back to where he was again. He's concentrating and trying to see if he can go back through and figure the route that he followed so carefully and reverse it back out again.
Yeah. So give us a wisdom roll, please.
I've got with that +2. 12.
12. Your gut says you know the way.
I always go with my guts.
Yep. So you begin to sort of lead carefully. Are you all going to do the thing? Are any of you going to try and move faster than is safe? Or are you just going to do what you did on the way down, which is small, careful steps, especially as this environment is now beginning to shake? Or rather, it's shaking.
I think certainly from Ix's perspective, cautious and careful and just trying to get there without dying.
Mm-hmm. Is that the same for everybody?
Does
Yes,
everyone...
there is something called terminal velocity. I'd rather keep the slow one.
Could we tie a rope around each of our waists just in case, so that 3 of us can support one if something unfortunate happens?
Do you have rope?
I do.
Yep. So you've got the gear to do it. It's a good idea, absolutely. I mean, you can even take time if you've got any magnetic clamps or whatever to ensure that Your progress is slower than coming down, but there is little to no chance of you falling. That is your choice, though. It's a combination of time combined with, safety.
Have both the rope and the magnetic clamps if you would like to take the safer route. However,
Yeah.
given what we've seen, if you'd rather
Yeah,
go
true.
more quickly.
We got through being careful enough, right? Just concentrate on what's in front of us.
Okay.
Okay, so that's no rope and magnetic clamps. So you're not going at the slowest speed you could do, but it's a safe speed, yes?
Mhm.
Okay, so you move through. It is concerning as this environment is kind of shaking, trembling really. It is not overly safe, but you are trying to take precautions. It is a hazard though, so I'm going to need each of you to give me dexterity rolls. Because you said you're taking it safely, I've lowered the DC to 8. So we're going to start off in initiative order. Amos, as you move forward, give me a dex roll. You need an 8 or more.
Not my favourite role.
That is a 17, or is it 11? I can never tell.
It's
That's
a 17 with a -1, so
Yeah.
16 is my result.
Okay, you make it absolutely no problem, Sprocket. Same for you. Oh,
I'm going to use a luck point on that.
I don't blame you. You just need an 8 because you are taking it safely.
No, not enough.
That is not enough. Are you?
Amos will use a luck point to make sure that Sprocket is staying on the path that he is observing.
Okay. It's burning through all of your luck. So that is Amos, no luck left. See if you can do it this time.
I will burn my last luck point then
Okay,
as
your
well.
last look. I'm loving this. You are the one that should be able to survive
Yeah.
this.
Just.
Okay. Just needing an 8, but Sprocket, a number of times you've thrown and I think cinematically now, you do actually fall. And it is in that final moments of people sort of reaching out and grasping your wrist to pull you back up as you dangle hazardously kind of inches away from one of these sharpened sort of spikes as you are pulled up. But that is only 2 of you. Oh dear. Ix.
Yay!
Yay.
Yeah, right. Okay.
What is that?
Okay.
13.
13. Okay, you are fine. And then Evok. It was your idea about ropes. You're beginning to wish very much that you
Very
had
much so.
told them to look. We're going really slow. Ropes and clamps.
Oh, right, look, I guess.
Okay,
Mhm.
Evok, this is your final look point as well.
It
Can I
is.
use mine instead?
Oh, you can
I'm
do,
conscious
yeah.
that I've still got all of mine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so you've gone down to that.
Down to 1.
Oops. That is like a
Okay.
17. Very nice.
There we
So
go.
you make it out of this hazard. Takes you a little bit longer. You do realise now that perhaps slow and steady is probably the best route next time, as that cost you an awful lot of other kinds of resources, intangible resources. But you have burnt them through. You've still got a distance to go to get out of this place. And as you begin to move forward, you begin to hear movement in the walls. You can't really call them walls again. They cross-hatching of metal, strange kind of recesses that your eyes just catch things moving rapidly along. You are being hunted as you begin to move. You have a choice now. You can put all caution to the wind and try and flee, moving rapidly, trying to remember the way down here. There is a chance that you might take a wrong turn and become even more lost, or you can try a normal pace and try and recount your way. Unfortunately, no one left any markers. The only marker that you have is the burnt out corpse of quite possibly of another individual from another crew. If you can find that, you at least know you're on the right route back. Your choice: fast or a decent pace, but trying to very, very carefully remember your way back through this vast husk.
There is no point in getting lost.
No.
We've got to know we're on the right path.
I agree. We should
Yeah.
be able to. We should be able to tell the way we came if we just take a little time.
As
Yeah.
fast as we can whilst knowing where we're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ix, you said you can't be surprised.
No.
Something from these recesses attempts to grab you. Your sharp goblin senses prevent you from just disappearing from sight as you see these spurred hands attempt to grab you and pull you in. Can we roll initiatives, please?
Okay.
Things are just going from bad to worse.
16 for Sprocket.
Okay, lovely. Sprocket 16.
7 for X.
7 for Ix. Amos.
5.
5 for Amos. And last but not least, Evok.
4.
Oh dear.
Oof.
Actually, last.
This thing couldn't get surprise upon you, so therefore does not have surprise, so we'll roll initiative. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, but it does go on a 16 as well. That is, if anybody wants to spend their luck point to make me re-roll that dice. I believe Evrock has 1 and Ix has 1. If not, it goes simultaneous with
Yeah.
Sprocket.
I'll request a reroll.
Are you sure? You don't want to save it for when something critically
I'd
hits
say-
you?
I'd save
No.
it.
I'm saving it
Yeah.
on the basis that I have the number of hit points it caused damage at last time.
I'm going to go with the more thoughts. As a responsible
Okay.
captain, I'm trying to slow this thing down. Plus, it's going to eat me before I move.
So is that you're going to stick with it and try and force me to make it? Well, make me make a reroll.
He's
Okay,
reroll.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Is this going to pay off? Wow, it's certainly slower. Rolled a 9, got a +1. It's on 10. So still going faster than most of the crew. That is your luck point. I like to bait people. There's only 1 luck point left amongst the entire group now. So Sprocket 16, all to do.
I spin round on the spot and take a shot at whatever tried to grab Ix from the shadows.
I am not worried about this. We know how bad a shot you are, Sprocket.
I'm terrible, yeah, absolutely. Like, see,
Yeah, it shoots. Oh dear, this is interesting now. Okay, so it's going to make an attack roll against you. Oops, that's wrong.
You
Sorry.
who? Me, Ix, or
No, it's going to be against Ix because
Okay.
it tried to grab Ix. It's sort of partially emerged from one of these recesses. The recess itself has got sharp sort of fragments and spears, and it looks like if he manages to grab Ix, it's going to be like pulling Ix through some kind of cheese grater. It's not going to be overly nice.
I don't enjoy that as an idea. Just putting it out there.
Well, I have managed to get a 4 on the dice. Is your armor class 4 or lower?
No, it is not. It is
Okay.
higher than that.
Can I just ask, is there any members of the Junkers crew that wishes to use their final luck point to allow me to re-roll that?
Where? No.
It tries to grab you, it fails. This is why I like open rolls, chat, and crew. It helps tell the story. And for transparency, Ix has 1 hit point. That is correct, isn't it?
No, I
Ix.
have 3 hit points.
Oh, you have 3 hit points, don't worry. It still would have been good. Okay, Ix, you get to do something. You're still alive.
Yay. Brilliant. As it misses me, I'm going to try and hit it and just say no.
No.
Ooh, and I get a
And
plus
then
1.
run.
That's the aim. Okay, yeah. So trying to hit with my mace, and
That is a 3.
that didn't go very well.
Yeah.
It's a 3, and I add 3 to it, so 6 total, which I don't think helps.
No, that is unfortunately not a hit. Okay, and then we move to Amos.
Yeah.
This seems to be slightly
Um,
different. It's the same sort of design of alien, but it's much smaller, much smaller. So probably a different, not species, but type.
Yeah. Amos wants to get himself between the creature and Ix
Yep. Okay.
physically. So he's going to charge at it with his spear and shield, sort of like to block it back into the cavity that it's come out from.
Perfect. Okay. You're going to make an attack as well. I mean, that's just your move action,
Yes.
isn't it, to position yourself?
Yeah.
So
Adding.
Yeah, that is not going to hit. 3 on the dice.
Nope.
Oh dear. Okay, and then we move to Eve Rock.
I probably won't work, but I'm going to attempt to cast light on one of its sort of blades in an attempt to disorientate its sight.
Okay,
Possibly
I
light
like
on
this. This is very old school. This thing is obviously accumulating. It doesn't really need light. So you summon up your light. The DC is 11.
Just
Are you sure that's
Yeah.
just that? That seems to have rolled over to a 1.
that's a 4 and a 7 plus 4,
Wow.
according to the.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. Yeah, we've got an 11, so that is just. So you summon and you cast light. You place it upon this thing, and yeah, it flares up, doesn't cause it. But I'm going to say that the next attack it has, if it does indeed have a next attack, will be at disadvantage until it becomes accustomed to the glare that has just come. The equivalent of like having night vision and suddenly night vision goggles, and suddenly kind of looking into a light. So it's going to have a tangible effect, but not a permanent effect. Then we move to Sprocket back up at 16.
Sprocket will take another shot and
Yeah.
probably miss again, but you know.
Perfect.
Okay,
That
Andy,
is good. Yeah.
I'd like to ask you a question.
Mhm.
So, he was somewhat disorientated by this light going into its eyes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Would you rule that as who's unaware of your attack? Because if that's the case, I could get my backstab on it.
I think
It's kind of disorientated. It's been blinded. Probably lost track of where I am a bit. I've taken aim, taken a shot, kind of beated him down a bit.
I'm feeling generous. Go for it.
Okay, thank you very much. That's a
I
2.
think it's a good reasoning. It's a good team play with the light flaring up.
Okay, in that case, I do 2d8 damage.
Oh, you didn't tell me it was 2d8 damage. You can stop that nonsense.
I'll get one. I'll get 2 ones. Oh, I don't know. I'll get 8.
8. So how do you want to finish this thing off that is half in and half out, attempting to grapple to get Ix, but Amos is in the way?
I think the problem that I've had is that I've not been able to get a decent bead on it.
Yeah.
And what when the light was put on his head, it gave me something tangible to aim at. So you just see the line of the plasma rifle come down straight into the center of where the light is, and just a single, and like a sniper, you just see his head explode like a melon.
Okay, yeah. There's a horrible cracking of chitin, and you see something beyond it. Pull it back. As another face appears, and then another and another, as they're all looking at you. You think that your shot and the fact that you've just killed one of them has potentially held them at bay for a moment or two, but you have a scant few heartbeats before they will be on you again.
Sprocket turns to the rest of the crew. They're coming out of the walls. Run.
Okay. So we're technically out of combat because they're not initiating it. You seem to be against overwhelming forces, so at this point fleeing is probably the most sensible. It's a shame that you haven't sort of marked your route down here. The light, the greenish light from Ix's flare is kind of casting terrible shadows, and you're seeing things where things aren't, and perhaps not seeing things where things are. As you begin to move forward rapidly,
Can I, before we start running off, try and throw a handful of shrapnel scraps into the area that it stuck its thing down to, just
look at
come down?
this. This is proper old school now. Yeah. What do we call it? Shrapnel.
Shrapnel sharps.
Yeah, shrapnel sharps, which are basically reskinned caltrops. As you throw these jagged bits of metal from a container that you got, you shake it up and throw them down. They scatter amongst all of these recesses, which will cause damage to anybody and slow them down. Very much like that. Good use of gear. Cross that gear off. You're gonna have to buy some more of those, but they might just well have saved your life. A degree of speed amongst you now, though. How are you going to try and make your way back the way that you came through?
Who's got luck points left?
Hello.
If you want to use that luck point and just spend it without a dice roll, I will say you can be lucky and find your way back to your rope.
That feels like the sensible thing to do.
Okay, you are
Let's
now
do
out of
It's not
luck.
great.
With the slowing down with the shrapnel sharps, the creatures, the aliens that you have disturbed, the noise following you dissipates somewhat. As you get to the rope, though, you see that there's someone there with a flare. A big orc in a full evac suit. And you hear him sort of say, "Ah, so that be your ship there. Sorry, that'll be my ship then up there. I just need access to it."
Amos shoots him in the face, or at least does his best.
I love it.
No negotiation, knows it's not worth it,
Great.
doesn't
I got-
break stride.
I will give you.
That's full on Firefly first
Yeah. No.
Yeah,
It's wonderful. I love it.
Yep.
It's not how I considered Shadowdark should be played, but no negotiation.
yeah, sorry, I did kind of jump the gun, but
No, I love it. I genuinely, it was one of those shock moments of. I love it when plot impacts players, and in my mind, I've got several different scenes of how it'll play out. I was not overly anticipating that, and I love it. I do love it. But you are out of luck. You have turned this potentially sort of negotiated encounter into combat. Let us see how this works out. Give us a shot. You will get a surprise upon him. He was not expecting it, just as the GM wasn't. Then we will go to initiatives.
plus 2 with the pistol.
Yeah.
Range. Oh, yes. Oh, God. That was not supposed to happen.
Is that a natural one?
That is a natural 1 with a plus 2, and the team is out of luck.
Yes, you shoot. It's almost as if he shouldn't have been expecting that, but he was. He's a butcher. He knows that these things don't go. He kind of manages to move out of the way as the bullet goes past it. So it's like that, is it? He sort of reaches from not behind, didn't have his hand behind, but he reaches for his back and he detaches something. What it appears to be is a chain sword. And he goes, "I guess it's fresh meat time." And it begins to vibrate as he holds this chainsaw in his hand and begins to approach you. Well, you need to put him down fast. Can you all give me initiative rolls, please? The terror of seeing this chainsaw. Oh, there's a natural 20 there.
Yeah, Sprocket.
Yeah. Okay. So, Sprocket, I'm assuming you're going first.
I am, yeah. I'm going to try and shoot him.
Just a minute, I just want to get everybody's initiatives down because he might roll higher than you. And then who's got the next highest? 15 to 20?
Amos at 7.
Yeah.
Amos is 7. Ix, what did you get?
6.
And Eve Rock.
0.
Right, this big butcher is going to make a roll. And we like the dice to tell stories. He's got a 10 in total. So going after you, Sprocket. If this was a feng shui, it is time to panic because this butcher actually has a name. His name is King Carson. You sort of notice the name tag on his evac suit. Okay, so Sprocket, on 20, you get to go.
Got the room, Andy.
Sorry?
Describe the room a second for me, please.
It's not really a room. This is the bottom of that sinkhole that you descended down. There's your rappelling ropes that go up towards your ship. So it's just kind of a husk of a chamber. There is no real furniture. You see that there are recesses in there, like you've seen all the way along. Strange, kind of shadowy, small pockets of space.
Yeah, I'm just going to shoot him then,
Yeah.
or try to.
I mean, you know this is an orca butcher, you know he does not have dark vision, so if you're looking to hide, you can move backwards into the darkness and use that darkness to your advantage. Of course, the darkness is full of these alien creatures.
Yeah, I'm more scared of what's behind me than what's in front of me, to be perfectly honest. What I was more thinking of is whether I could find a way to use the grapnel that I've got to somehow trip him to make him prone. So I was going to try and fire the grapnel into a wall and then kind of rush past him to try and sweep him off his feet
Okay.
with the wire.
Interesting. It's going to be tricky to do, but if you want to try and do something like that, I'm not opposed to it. We're going off the rails again, but this is old school stuff. He's
So
a
we've got a better-
big orc, so he's...
If we can get him prone, then that's probably better for us than otherwise, at the very least, although I suppose he goes next, so we'll probably just get back up again.
Yeah.
No, I'll just shoot him. I'll try
Okay.
to anyway.
So you try to shoot him.
14.
14 hits.
Sorry, there shouldn't be a D10, it should be a D8, so ignore that.
Yep.
Six
6 damage. That catches him bad. He's looking kind of wounded at the moment.
And I'll say to him, there is more of us than there is you, and there are some fucking strange creatures behind us. We don't want this fight. You don't want this fight. Fuck off.
There is no choice. You started this. I'm going to end it now. He doesn't really like being shot at, and certainly shot at and hit. And he comes for you, unfortunately, Sprocket. You who's just wounded him. Okay, and he is going to... Sorry, I just need to click to this. He is going to swing this chainsaw at you. That is just a 10.
He misses.
Okay. It kind of swings it hard, and you manage to get out of the way as it hits down into the floor of this thing and starts grinding, throwing up various bits of whatever material this husk is made from. Lucky. We move then to Amos.
Amos will shoot him with his pistol and then charge at him again, trying to put his body between this King Carl and the group. So,
Go
pistol
for it,
shot first.
please.
Yeah. +1 to hit, +2 to hit.
11 is not
11.
enough as you shoot, but doesn't quite catch him. But you impose your body between it, and then we move rapidly to Ix.
Yeah.
I am going to, on the basis Amos already gets a bit of an advantage with weapon, I am going to turn to Sprocket and again grab one of my little gadgets and attach it to his gun, cast Holy Weapon, or attempt to cast Holy Weapon. And then I would like to, once I've done that, scoot around, preferably behind and sort of not quite in the shadows, but out of the light a little bit.
Okay. So sounds good. So cast your spell. DC 11.
11, so roll +2,
Yep, that is fine.
15.
Whose gun did you cast it upon? Sorry. Amos's.
Sprocket.
Sprockets.
No,
Okay, very
Sprockets.
nice. Then we move to Evok.
Well, I have an idea. I just don't know how to execute it without informing him. So, let's start off with the magic missile.
Yeah, okay, so it's a spell cast, so DC 11 with advantage. Yep, that is going to hit there, so D4 across to him. 1 point, taking him ever closer. He kind of swears at you. You wait.
Where is this rope coming down? Can we get on it and start to climb up?
You can attempt to climb it, yeah. His intentions at the moment is to go toe-to-toe with Sprocket, who did 6 points of damage with him.
Would I be behind him when I try and go for it?
What, go for the rope?
Yeah.
Yeah, you sort of go around and you see that Ix is round there as well. You won't be able to start climbing as yet.
Going to gesture, pointing, going up the rope, and then pull out a dagger and make a soaring motion underneath it.
Climb the rope and cut the rope. Very nice. So we go to Sprocket.
Sprocket will take another shot at him.
Mhm.
I get +1 from that holy weapon, is that right?
You do.
Yeah,
plus
attacks
1 to
and damage
attack
rolls.
and damage, indeed.
And for the next 5 rounds, if we live that long.
Miss.
It does indeed miss. Oh dear.
But I've got movement and I've got my dwarven friend between us. So I will try and get behind back to where the rope is as well.
Amos's look on his face is very good. Okay, I don't think there's such things unless the monsters have got special abilities for attacks of opportunity. So you maneuver around and get to the rope. It is King Carson's go, and he is going to make this attack this time against you, Amos, because you have put yourself there. That is a 12 this time.
Unfortunately, he smashes his chainsword into my plast shield, and we have that classic moment of grinding against the immovable force.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's horrible. There's no sparks because your plast shield is made of plastech, but it kind of grinds and it kind of starts scratching it, and it slides up and down it as he's trying to get it through. Oh wow, good save there. Good save there, Amos. And you can respond.
Certainly do, by attempting to shoot him in the face.
Okay.
There we go.
11 is game.
11.
Just not enough. As you shoot, he kind of again just positions your shield in the way. You just can't get a good angle on him, and then you take your chance and shoot, and it just goes past. Then we move to Ix. There is this titanic
Just would
struggle.
use my movement.
Yep.
Just use my movement again to keep myself between King Carl and the group.
Yeah.
I'm not disengaging. I'm making sure they get the best chance for the rope if they want it.
Absolutely. There's this titanic clash between you two at the moment. Orc versus dwarf. Butcher versus guildless. Ix, what would you like to do?
You know, I'd like us all to just make friends and maybe go for burgers somewhere. I don't think that's on the cards somehow.
Sorry.
Okay. No. Okay, technical question.
Yeah.
Does climbing the rope equate to using my action?
Yeah, it will do. It'll be a move and an action to manipulate up there. Because you've got a rope, there's not going to be no roll for it because you're not currently being chased. But at this point as well, it's you're going to have to climb.
I don't want to leave Amos. That's rude. And Amos has moved as a barrier between. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to step up beside or still just behind Amos, and then I'm going to cast my another gadget on gun and another cast of holy weapon on Amos this time.
Yep.
And then return to the rope, ready to climb
Perfect.
when that's definitely what we're doing.
Yeah. And then we move to Evrock.
I need to roll for my spell.
Yeah. Perfect.
So,
That looks like a natural one to me.
that was a natural one, yeah.
Okay, this is very bad.
Tell you what, I'll use my luck.
Have you got some luck left?
No, but
Is the last one?
No. I've got none left. I was trying to be flippant and see if I could con the GM, but that feels rude.
It seems like I kept a record of everybody's luck, and basically it's a big page of crossings out.
Yep.
So you try to do that. It is a natural one. You can't cast that spell again until you have taken a penance. We will decide what that penance is another time, because let's face it, you might be dead in a minute and you don't need to worry about it.
It's currently going.
With that, Evrock, it is your go.
Do we know if Amos actually has a weapon that would be suitable for cutting the rope behind him?
Don't worry about that. I could cut the rope behind us.
You plan to go after Amos?
No, but you'll see what I'm about to do in a minute.
Okay. I guess I will trust my crew and start heading up.
Okay, so use your action, start climbing. So take a little while to do this. It's a long way up to your ship, but your ship is kind of off the ground with rappelling ropes coming down, but you start climbing up, and you begin to see the light as you see the light disappear down where you are to the light of your ships shining down upon you. That is Evrock, and then we move to Sprocket again.
Right, Sprocket is going to attach his grapnel to the back of Amos.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So is this going to be you can kind of secure it?
Yes, I'm securing it onto the back of Amos, and then I'm going to start climbing up the rope.
Okay. So yeah, I would say it's easy enough just to attach your grapnel. It doesn't take an action, but then you start climbing up. Have you attached rope to your grapnel?
Yep, I have, yeah. It's a grapnel and rope.
Okay. So you begin to climb up. That is you, Sprocket. It is King Carson's go. Between you and Amos. So he's going to make another attack roll against you with this shield. Boomf. We are rolling, and he just doesn't seem to be able to do it. Only a 9. Okay, and then we move to Amos.
The stalemate seems to continue between us, but I intend to end it.
Well, you
Let's
say
have a
that
shot.
as the lights go out. The timer has gone. You are plunged into darkness once again. What would you like to do? This was your flare, Ix. Your green flare has gone out. It is Amos's turn. The lights go out. You can't see who you are fighting. The good news is that orcs don't have dark vision either. Therefore, you are both in the dark, all of you. Apart from Evok, who is getting a little bit of ambient light from your ship. And just to give you a little soupçon of terror, when the lights go out, your other senses kick in, and your hearing over anything else hears the sound of sort of scratching in the walls as the things that you left behind are beginning to catch up.
Sprocket shouts down,
Can
climb.
Yeah. Can I see the bottom of the rope?
No, it's pitch
Can I
black.
get to the bottom of the rope?
It is pitch
Okay.
black.
You know the grapple was on your back though, so you could follow that backwards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with a grapple and the rope, I would allow that quite easily as a way of sort of finding your way to the main
Yeah.
rope.
So I find my way to the main rope that way and climb. I
Okay.
disengage. You're quite right. It's
Yeah,
I so wanted to take that shot.
yeah, I know. Well, it's a great thing about Shadowdark. It's an hour. The timer went off. The timer is ticking down.
Yeah.
Even though there is no light, you all begin to climb. But I say all. I believe there's Ix the goblin at the bottom. And Ix, it is your go. It
I
has
was
gone.
at the rope.
You was you're at the rope.
If we're all climbing, then I would also climb. I would try. There's no chance of me actually hitting the guy, but what I would try and do is that as my flare fizzles out, I try and throw it in
Okay.
the other guy's face,
Yeah,
just to slow him down, if nothing else.
You do a throw. I'm assuming you want to use your action to climb rather than try and hit him. So
Yeah.
it's a cinematic kind of just throw, and up you go.
Yep.
Okay. What unfolds next is terrible as the things come out of the walls, and King Carson, you hear his screams as he is ripped apart. The darkness covering his terrible fate is either a good thing, or perhaps it promotes your imagination to the real horrors that are down there. As you emerge into the light of your ship, you use the code to get into your ship that no doubt King Carson tried many times, waiting for you to return, and you are safely in and away. Well done. You escaped with 2 scav tech and your lives just about.
Just about.
Sorry?
Yes, just about.
Just about. I think that is the perfect place to sort of end it. There are rules when they come out for carousing and for trading in your scav tech. The quick start rules will describe how you can spend it on experience points and anything else. We've overrun it slightly, but I just want to say a massive thank you to you, the players, and everybody else who's been watching either now or on catch up. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's gave you a degree of flavour of Shadowdark, but in another setting. We'll just get some opinions of our players as they say goodbye. Start off with you, Malcolm. How did you find it?
Really great session. The dice tell a lot of the story, but we're able to make cinematic moments out of it. That stalemate at the end that we just had, that Titanic battle kind of thing, was a great set piece.
Yeah, I mean, it could have easily gone either way. That chainsaw was a good bit of gear, a nasty weapon, but I just couldn't connect with it. So it was interesting. But no, thank you for joining us. Really, really appreciated it. Kyle, any passing thoughts, favourite moments, any thoughts on the setting?
I'm impressed by the level of tension that was maintained even when there was nothing threatening around.
You just never know in the dark, things are or not. No, I hope you enjoyed it. It felt to me there was tension, there was horror there, but without there being horror, if you know what I mean. I think leaning into a lot of tropes, but not actually having them there, kind of made you use your imagination. So is this a replay of Aliens? Is this a replay of Predator? Is this The Thing? Is it Event Horizon? What's going to happen next? Etc. Etc. It kind of, sometimes not knowing is more scary than actually knowing. But I'm very, very pleased that you found it sort of scary. Ian.
That's my first time playing the Shadowdark rule set.
Mhm.
What I would say is it's quite liberating. I think it's important to remember that you need to unshackle yourself from the rules, and that's when it really opens up. So highlights for me around this would be when Matt used his kind of holy weapon to power up my welding.
Yeah.
Something that it's not there for, but it makes sense in the moment. And when Kyle used his light and enabled us to get that kind of kill shot on him
Yeah.
by interpreting the rules in that way, and I think that's really important. The unshackling from such a rules-heavy system like 5e is very liberating. So yeah, really good.
It's very strange, but you have to get your sort of mind around it. And I think if you look at the system with not just a 5e mindset, but like a Pathfinder, a sort of modern, deep, not complicated but involved system, you kind of go, well, how does this work then? Because there's no rules there. You have to realize is that the great thing about no rules is you get to make the rules up as is appropriate for the encounter, and that is great fun. Which is an old school style, really. Back in the day, I'm sure you can remember it. We didn't have the rules, so we had to make judgment calls with what we had and what was happening at the time. And it's one of the things that has really attracted me to Shadowdark. And finally, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, just building what the other guys have said, it was also my first time playing. I've read through the quick start guide quite a lot, and it was really nice. And what was nice about it was it very much felt like we were playing Shadowdark, but it also felt like it was very much and a very sort of tangible sci-fi setting. I think is a really nice demonstration of how versatile the system is. And it's that whole thing of, generally tabletop gaming, the limits are only your imagination anyway.
Yeah.
But what's really lovely about this is everything makes sense, and it's finding those simple parallels for those kind of reskinning of things, but it's all still very much the Shadowdark system. And I think it's a really nice proof of how easy it is to turn it into whatever you want it to be, which is great.
Yeah. No. Okay then. So there's not a lot else to say. I really enjoyed it. I kind of loved the opening sequence where you were all sort of role playing, and yeah, someone had died even before we really started the game. Poor Dave. Of course, there's a little nod there. But no, fantastic stuff, and thank you for bringing the concept to life. If you are watching either now or on catch up, please let us know in the comments what you think to it, what you think to Shadowdark, what you think to the idea of it being used for sort of a non-fantasy setting. It's difficult to say non-fantasy because we were playing sort of the ancestries from it. We were using the magic just reskinned. There was nothing that we actually put into place apart from some homebrew alien races, which I did homebrew. That was anything different that's in the quick start set. So yeah, without further ado, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for playing. Watch this space. We might do some more Junkers in the near future. Take care. Stay safe. Thank you very much, everybody, for now.